Good morning, folks. Steven, KC3DSO. I just wanted to go over a quick amateur radio station setup that I have while I'm camping. I'm up in western Pennsylvania, probably about 20 minutes west of Mercersburg. I'm at a cabin that I've rented for the weekend, and I wanted to set up a station so I could do a little bit of you know, some sideband work and do a little bit of Vara and Winmore and places, things like that, modes like that while I was up here. And I want to just put up a basic simple dipole. So what I have up here is a quad band linked dipole. It does 20, 30, 40, and 80, and it does it rather well in a very small, lightweight package. So it's a SotaBeams, and I think they run about $100 or so from the UK, and they're in a very small pack, and like I said, it weighs maybe about 2 pounds. So as far as portability goes, weight-wise, it's really a winner. It's not the heavy-duty. It's not a heavy-duty antenna you'd probably want up full-time, but for the intermittent use of putting it up, I use it a lot for EmComm work. I'm a member of an Aries group there just outside the district. Excuse me, I'm starting to catch something here. But I'm up in the woods with my puppy. So this is the dipole. This is one end of the dipole. As you can see, it's a pretty small gauge wire, and it comes with these winders on it, which is really nice. These are super easy to work. They allow you to unwind it, and then you put this elastic cord over it, and it locks it in place. And all I do is I hang it up with a simple bungee cord. I also have some weights that I could put on the ground if I needed to, but obviously because of the tree situation, there was just plenty of trees here for me to fool with, so I didn't have to worry about any kind of weights or anything. So this, as you can see, is probably just about 6 feet off the ground, this end. The antenna actually stops here. There is, because it's a linked dipole, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there are these alligator clips between the sections. So for example, right now with all of them connected, it's an 80-meter dipole, and you can unhook the sections and make it dedicated dipoles for whatever you want it to do. But my tuner tunes it for just about anything. I have an LDG tuner, so I just leave it the way it is and I just tune it. And most of the time I'm doing 80 at night, and it works really nice. And during the day I'm doing 30, and that's doing pretty good too during the day. So the antenna, the one leg, as you can see, comes up this way here, and all I did was I just threw a piece of arbor slick line, which is the winder here, over the tree limb with a little weight, and I just attached it to the center feed point and then just hoisted it up. The coax comes out here. This has an attached piece of coax. I think this is about 30 feet or so, and it goes through a small toroid up at the top, and the two legs come out, and that's it. And when it's time to drop it down, all I do is undo the stake here, let it go, and at the center feed point, it's just going to fall down. It makes it a really nice, simple little package. The cable is terminated here into a BNC, and all I did is I put an adapter that runs it from the BNC to a SO239, and then I just hook my coax. I have it's 100 feet. I think this is I don't know, this could be the LMR stuff that I've got, I don't know, but it's 100 feet of coax, and that's running into the station. This is the other leg of the dipole here coming down, and that's attached to the tree over here, and that's probably about 3 feet, 3.5 feet up off the ground. So it's a nice little antenna. I've used this on several deployments in the past, and it's worked very, very well. I use it on my camping trips. And this is the slick line. This is the Arbor slick line, so it doesn't get stuck in trees. And there's a small weighted bag that I use for tossing. You can get this whole set without the winder. This is just an extension cord winder. You can get the whole set on eBay for pretty cheap. And this is wax coated, so it doesn't get caught in the bark on the trees or anything like that. It makes it really nice for pulling and hoisting up antennas. Excuse me. So this has been a really simple little antenna. It's lightweight. If you do any kind of SOTA work, hence the name of the company, it's a nice little antenna, but you do need a little bit of room to put it up and out. There's a easy way of, they have a video online, an easy way of mounting it up, putting it up in a open field with a 20-foot mast. I don't have their mast. What I do have are two other masts that I use. One of them is a MFJ. It's a 33-foot fiberglass mast, and I just don't put all the sections up, and that's worked very well. And I also have one of the 20-foot crappie poles, and that works very well. I put it all the way up and use it just like they do theirs. It's not quite as beefy, but it's a fraction of the cost, and it's very easy to deploy. It's a little lighter weight on your backpack if you're taking it anywhere. But this antenna goes up pretty easily. So all I do is I just pull up the center feed line up the top, and then I unwind the winders as I pull it up and keep the two lines straight as they go down. And of course the feed line comes down separately outside the two winders. The feed point has its own winder too. So it's a really slick little system here. So to run the cable, this is the cabin here. Just a 100-foot coax, and it's going just back up along here. And Cisco is modeling the coax here, and that goes in excuse me, the window here to the station, which I'll show you once I get inside. So it's just dangling there. Now on this back side I have another device. This is, I'm sure you can recognize, is a GPS. So this is magnetic on the bottom. You can stick it on the roof of your car. I hook this up to my computer, and it allows me to post to Winlink my GPS, your position postings, position location postings. And what I do is this Winlink will automatically read this data coming from the GPS. It'll even change your grid square, so that when you send the position report out, you can check an option, it'll change your grid square. So when you do an updated RMS list, it will use your current location grid square and not the grid square from my house, which is important for station work. So this just runs off of a USB. I have a small extension cable that runs inside to the station. We're going to head inside and I'll let you take a quick look at that. This is the inside station. So I just have my coax just with the window down on it, coming back into the back of the kit box, the Go box, which I'll show you. And this is the USB cable for the GPS. The computer is a Toughbook CF30, and it runs very well. I got this as a pretty good deal. It's big and bulky and heavy, but it does its job very well. It's been a great machine. So let's, for connections on the laptop, I have a USB key. I get the power supply, which is actually running off of a 12-volt adapter here in the front. So the only other cable I've got here, of course, is the USB for the GPS, and then the USB cable to the hub. All the balance of the equipment that's used inside, the Signalink and the 857D control cable, is plugged into the powered hub. The hub is powered from the back, which I'll show you once I get over there. So the CF30 runs all my software and everything for both Winlink and the GPS and everything else, which I'll show you here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and do the back of the case. This is a simple 2-meter 50-watt antenna. Now I'm not transmitting on it. The only reason why this is here is so I can pick up the weather reports from the NOAA radio stations, and it works very well for that. All the connections for the, so this is going into the D710, which is, I'm going to show you the radios here in just a second. So that's what I'm using for all the weather reports. Of course, it only has one antenna connection. The 857D does both UHF, VHF, and HF. It's a multi-band, multi-mode antenna, radio. So this is in the HF connector, of course, which is what the dipole is, and this does not have any antenna hooked up to it at the current time. Grounding bar, which I need to finish. This is a power supply adapter for the front. Powers everything with just one single cable that comes out. It has a USB port, which I'm currently using to charge my, well, there's no batteries in it now, but this is the GoPro battery charger. And I used to have an internal battery, but I can turn on any switch that I want. The hub is powered here. It's plugged in up inside. They're out 110 volt outlets on the inside. Stuff is plugged in on the inside, so it's out of the way, tucked away. You don't have to fool with any of that. These cables are for, this thing generally just stays in here. I must have pulled it out by mistake. So the cables coming out are the power for the hub. This is the, let me see which one this is for. This is for the 857D. This is the control cable for it. And this is the, that's the 857D. This other black one is the Signalink. And then, of course, I have the initial cable that goes from the hub to the computer. So this just stays all hooked up, tucked up inside. I used to have a battery in the back here, which I no longer have, hence this marking here. I need to just take this off. I used to have an SLA battery in there, which added a good amount of weight, but I found that I wasn't using it very much. I now have an external LiFePO 4 battery that I use, lithium iron phosphate battery, and it works out much better. So this whole cable set, I just coil it up, tuck it up inside, and there's nothing shown on the back. And all I do is pull this out as one piece, and all I have to do is plug in this cable into the laptop, and everything's set. For the D710, you notice there's two serial cables here. What I did was that when I installed the radio, I actually put in two of the control cables. One goes into the back of the control head for the TNC, hence that's what this one's marked for. So when I want to use the packet, I plug the computer into this. If I want to do programming, all I do is unplug it, plug it into here, and then I can program the radio, then plug it back, unplug it, and plug it back in here. Having two cables pre-installed is much easier than trying to reach in there or undo screws and try to hook up two cables when you need it. For about $8, you can just plug it in and leave it, and you don't have to fool with it, and it works like a top. It'll save you a lot of aggravation, time, and effort later. So these are permanently installed. All I have to do is I take either an extension cable depending upon how I want to hook it up, or you can use the USB cable and hook it up here. But what I tend to use, because what makes this Toughbook so nice is it has a physical COM port. So this is always COM 1, which makes communications easy with the D710. I don't have to do any kind of drivers or anything like that, so it's very attractive. So the back of this is pretty streamlined. There's a power pole rig runner distribution. This old plastic box is where the battery used to be, so I just tuck everything up inside of that, and then I just put the cover on top of it. The covers have several different things. This one basically has pouches that I put the microphones in, the USB light. It has a small piece of coax, and it has a roll-up J-pole with assorted adapters, dual band roll-up J-pole, UHF, VHF for the D710. So when I set it up, I can get up and online very, very quickly. I didn't bother setting that up here because I'm inside of a valley and I just didn't fool with any of the repeaters. My whole thing for today was to, or during the weekend, was to play on HF. So the front of the Go Box here, it's a Yeasu 857D, and right now it's on 30 meters, and you hear there's no noise. I mean, look, there's no signal level at all. There's no noise floor really. We're so far away from everything. It's very, very quiet. I have an external meter plugged into the 857D, which makes it a little bit easier to see some things. An LDG tuner, the YT100. This gets its power from the radio, so you don't have to fool with batteries or anything like that. Signalink, USB Signalink, which is the EmComm standard. The Kenwood D710G. There's the cable here for the radio, which goes everything. These are mounted on plates, face plates, so I can easily take these out if I wanted to, which is kind of nice, because if you have to operate in an EmComm environment and you want to like take this radio out and slide it over here and let someone do that, you can. So it's kind of nice. All the microphones, I pulled this out, all the microphones are on these little RJ11 couplers. They're female to female couplers. So these are all Cat5 cabling that goes to this radio, and it's all Cat5 cabling that goes between the radio and the control head and, of course, the microphone and the radio, hence another Cat5 coupler here. So right now this is just running the
local conditions. Johnstown, cloudy 35.
The weather. So I got two external speakers here and an MFJ power supply here. What's nice about this is you have the binding posts in the front if you need it for something quick and dirty, but it also has dual power poles in the back, which of course are running into the rig runner, which is basically running the box. And that's pretty much it. You have a 12-volt outlet here and the 5-volt USB dual outlets. One's 1 amp and I think the other one's a 2 amp. And this runs my light, as you can see here. You just tap it and it gets pretty bright, as you can see. And all this is just a little stick. So you can plug it into any USB port, upside down or right side up, or whatever you want to do. I can put it in the top one here, get a little bit better view on it here, as you can see. And then you just tap it and it lights up the entire front of the case. And you can dim it at night if you need to. And you can just touch it and it'll turn itself off. Just like that. Pretty slick. And it takes up, it's about less than the size of a stick of gum. So that's the box, and it's a real simple thing. This is the one case, and I've got the connection diagram for the 857D, and this one is just empty, because this one, there's nothing in the front of this one, and this just goes right on the cover here, because this has some knobs and stuff that stick out, so I can't put anything in the front of that. What some people do is they'll take a sheet of like an old cookie pan, and they'll cut it, put it in here, so they can put a magnetic mounting antenna on here and give yourself a little bit of a ground plane. So there's all sorts of options for things that people do. Now for the software, this of course is Winlink. Let's go into, that's a Vara HF modem. That's a session. Let me see if I can get up the GPS here, and as you can see now, it's receiving data from the from the puck that's out there. So there's no fix on it, but it'll go through, and these are the satellites that it can find. It'll go through, and I'm going to choose WAS. So this will go through. It's going to take a few minutes for it to get a fix, because I haven't used it in 2 days. Oh, see, there you go. You got a couple of locked satellites here, as you can see by the map. So there we go. Now I got a 3D fix, and it's telling me exactly where I am. There's a date, time, and of course I'm not moving, I'm stationary. So what's neat about this is I can use this in the Winlink. And let me show you how to do that for a quick position report. So now I know it's working here. So if we start Winlink, well, it's already running. I'm just going to tap it here. See, and if you decide you want to do a position report, you go up to Settings, GPS, Position Reports. Oh, see, it already populated it. COM25, 4800, and you can see the data coming up there and as it's refreshing. So if you check this box here, automatic update grid square from GPS position, so that's where I'm physically at now. That's the grid square, and it's clearly different from where I'm home. I live just outside the district in Maryland. So what this allows me to do is if I check this box, it'll change Winlink, and then when I go get a new RMS list, it'll use this grid square, so it's accurate. The distances and everything else, the local stations are much more accurate. See, and you can copy it. I've already done all this, so I'm not going to do it again. I went ahead and put a position report. So if you search my call sign, KC3DSO, it's going to show this as my last position report. I'll leave it up for a few weeks here, just so if anybody looks at the video, you can see how it's been posted. But I'm not going to go through all that again. Excuse me. And of course, you can add a marine weather report if you have data that you want to put in there. You can click this, and let me see. I forgot how this works. I've never. There it is there. So you click this and you can add the wind speed, marine user only, obviously, cloud cover, air temperature, and swell period, and some other information here from this thing, from your marine status. And then I usually keep it turned off. So and then you hit post report, and what this does, it puts an outbound message in your box here to defaultly be sent. And what it does is the next time you connect, it immediately sends it up, and then you will automatically get an acknowledgement the next time you connect saying it's been posted to the Winlink website. So we're going to go ahead and make a quick connect here. I got Vara up. This is a Vara HF modem, and I'm going to, excuse me, try to make a quick connect on 30 meters. I think I'm on. And VE1YZ, who's up in Canada. So I'm going to go ahead and Yep, that failed. Somebody may be on the station. So we try. I did a new report here the other day. See, this has dropped. It was much higher earlier this morning when I did it. So, as the day moves on, so here's let's do another 30. Then we'll hit the tuner. It should be real fast. Yep, that was quick. Now let's see what we get here. So the SWRs are basically 0. Oh, there it goes. Let me turn it up a little bit. So we got to connect. He is 665 miles, bearing 266. Excuse me. And it gives me how much time I have. It gives you the SFI data, the month-to-date stats. Signal noise ratio is not very good. As you can see, it's in the red. So now it's moved up to yellow. It's gotten a little better. I got him as an S3, pretty much. I don't think I have any mail waiting because I set everything I wanted to do this morning. And this is running at about, I think it's 50 watts or so, maybe. Excuse me. Okay, yep, so it went right through. There's no messages or anything like that. The FF and FQ are the good connect, no messages. So, like I said, I already done all my messages this morning. There is a nice protocol. It's not quite as good as Pactor probably, but I've done Pactor side by side. I have a P3 modem at home, and I've done them side by side, 2 separate machines. Same antenna though, just flick a switch there, and it's been very similar results, but I think Pactor still does clearly have the edge with the hardware on both ends, but the Pactor is rather expensive. So that's pretty much the station right there. This works pretty good for doing all sorts of fun stuff. So thanks for watching. Leave your comments.